Right now, back to the Phil Cowan program, AM 1380, The Answer.
Thank you very much, Dave. It is 7:35, and I am pleased to welcome to the program Greg Burt joins us once more from California Family Council. Greg, how are you?
I'm doing great, Phil. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks very much. It just seems like week after week, you folks at CFC are finding yet another new outrage. And I spent a lot of time yesterday just discussing various stories regarding the kind of garbage that is being foisted upon our children in public schools. And, typically we're mostly concerned about young kids being exposed to things they shouldn't be exposed to. Now we're talking about kids in their teens getting student ID cards that, if AB 624 passes, would put a number for Planned Parenthood on their student ID card, I presume for their easy reference.
Yeah, I guess that's what they're thinking. It's Planned Parenthood gives money to politicians
Yep.
and endorsements for a reason. They want something in return, right? And they really hit the jackpot with Assemblyman Jesse Gabriel, right? He's offering them free advertising, right? On that you could put Planned Parenthood's number in the pocket of every public school kid and college student, not just for public schools, but for private schools too. And they're doing this, in a way. Last year they started this. They ended up, a Republican and a Democrat got together. And they wanted to put the suicide hotline on the back of every student ID. And, how can you object to that? Kids are struggling with suicide. But now this has opened the Pandora's box to sticking, phone numbers to all kinds of organizations on the back of these student IDs. And, of course, it's the organizations that are giving the donations that get top priority. And
that's the danger here, is you're going to be able to buy space on the back of that ID card, essentially.
That's right. They're not. Listen, I want to be clear. Planned Parenthood is not mentioned in the bill, but what is mentioned is they need to put a sexual or reproductive health hotline.
Because that's an important number for a 12-year-old to have access to, Greg.
They need all that information, and Planned Parenthood promotes themselves already in schools as the expert. Don't listen to your parents. Don't listen to your church. If you want objective, good information about sex, you call us. And if you happen to get pregnant, we have a hotline so you can set up an appointment.
Well, and this, again, is indicative of the lack of accountability that is promoted by the left all the time. You need not be accountable to your parents or to your family to do the right thing or to behave appropriately. If you don't, we will solve the problem without your parents even needing to be involved.
No, I was on a radio interview yesterday, and I think people are shocked that the school will facilitate a child over 12, well, actually any age, going to a Planned Parenthood without their knowledge during the school day, have them have the abortion, come back, and they're required to mark them present. The kids have privacy rights. And I don't know if anybody out there has teenage daughters. I have two of them, and as soon as they hit 12, I had no longer had access to their medical records. Because of that, right?
Well, and the disgusting thing about it, Greg, is if something happens and your child gets injured in a traditional way at school, and they have to take him to the ER, they can't do anything to him unless you approve. The only medical issues this privacy right applies to is sex or drug abuse if they want to get rehab. I mean, it's the stuff that they should be answerable to their parents for, and government and Democrats don't want them to be. They want to encourage them to behave badly, and that's exactly what they're doing.
No, and the new right that they're trying to promote at the Capitol is that kids have the right to cross-sex hormones and puberty-blocking drugs if they think they're trapped in the wrong body, right? So that's the new civil right they're advocating. We've been fighting bills. They're giving these rights to foster care kids. Any kid who conceives that he might be trapped in the wrong body, they have a right to have all these drugs, and make these permanent decisions to their body when they're still young.
We've
stand up against this.
Yeah, and we've got stories in the news all over the place now about these advocates out in kindergarten classes, 5-year-olds reading books like I Am Jazz, where they declare, I'm a boy, but I have a girl's brain. And what 5-year-old, when this is being read to you by what you perceive to be an authority figure, what 5-year-old is going to go, what? That's stupid.
I was up at the Capitol the other day talking to some folks behind the scenes, and they're getting calls from parents that their kids are coming home, and after hearing these lessons in kindergarten, all of a sudden they think they're changing into the other sex.
I know, and Greg, that is the goal of this policy, is to confuse children.
No, and so a parent...
I'm convinced that's true. It's not just about tolerating, they're recruiting.
Yeah, and I don't see, I don't see some of the Democrats in the party, they can't see it yet. Or they're so afraid to speak differently, they think they'll be accused of being hateful.
Oh, yeah.
Or they'll be accused of encouraging kids to commit suicide. It's like, the only way you're going to help a confused kid is to affirm the confusion. Something's going to happen. And if parents would rise up in mass and hopefully come to the Capitol, later this month, inform parents of California, I know you had some women that we brought in a couple weeks ago. They're going to throw an event on the 28th to protest all this stuff because...
in fact, they had just they sent Sean an email wondering if I was going to be available to maybe come down and MC that event on the 28th. I've got to check my schedule and find out, but I may be down there for that. It's going to be a 10 o'clock event at the Capitol, I presume.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. My heart goes out to those women. Anybody with young kids right now should be deeply concerned about what's going on in public schools. And if it is at all possible for you to get your kids out of public schools, you should.
Well, we shouldn't give up on our public schools quite yet. I mean, there's so many people, conservatives, still sending their kids to schools. They're trying to pay their bills, and they can't go to public school.
I know we are, But sadly, Greg, I think we may be rapidly reaching the point when public education is a lost cause.
I hope.
For those of us with anything resembling traditional values, it's not just a question of your values not being taught. Your values are being denigrated in public schools.
No, and you can't simply keep sending your kids to these schools that, especially the young ages, they're going to be harmed.
And they're being harmed.
They're too vulnerable. Yeah.
They are being harmed. And when you are already inculcating 5-year-olds that there's such a thing as being a boy, but you have a girl's brain, hey, that is physiologically impossible. Okay? It doesn't work that way. What you have is a mental illness that needs to be treated. If you want to express yourself as a female, okay, that's your business. I'm not going to stand in your way. But know what you are, and what you are is a male.
No, you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, this used to be so common sense. It's wild how quickly something that most people, I think, I mean, I'm not sure if sometimes you get up to the Capitol and you all think, am I really in the minority on this?
Yeah, no, I don't believe we are, because I think part of the problem is I don't think our legislators in the Capitol are hearing from enough angry parents. The LGBT caucus, which is surprisingly small even in the Capitol, is driving policy in that building, and they need to be shut down.
Well, it's not just them. It's the Teachers Association,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the ACLU, and it's Planned Parenthood. Those three big organizations are behind a lot of this legislation, pushing it, threatening school districts.
Yeah.
But anybody who stands up.
Before I let you go here, AB 624 was just introduced. Where are we right now in the process with 624?
It's going to be in the Assembly Education Committee next.
Okay.
On the 27th.
So we still have plenty of time to contact our legislators and give them an earful.
Look them up. Find out. It's very easy. Google Assembly Education Committee. You'll see all the members. Give them all a call.
Okay. Sounds great. Greg, thanks very much. Always a pleasure.
Hey, thank you.
All right. Have a great weekend. AM 1380, The Answer. It's the Phil Cowan program. 745.